detachments to deny the mutual support between these two detachments. The naval personnel manning Muthoor jetty had to be evacuated under heavy artillery bombardment to the army detachment nearby. Many innocents, especially the Muslims living in the periphery, fallen victim or least displaced during the battle. The induction of commandos and additional infantry battalion turned the tide of the battle, resulting in the restoration of the security forces detachments, which in turn facilitated the launch of subsequent operations. The LTT continued its artillery fire from Sampur and Ralkuli towards the naval dockyard, Air Base China Bay, and threatened the Japanese-led investment Mitsui Cement factory and Singaporean-steered Prima flour plant when unlawful fire was poured into Trincomalee oil farms where there were 99 oil tanks, which is of strategic value. Thus, disturbed the tranquil nature that prevailed in the Trincomalee town, especially when the civilians started to move out such areas due to uncertainty of their safety. Security forces were forced to provide people with basic amenities and guide them to safe areas, which were later administered by the civilian authority, assisted by the INGOs and NGOs, which is of praiseworthy. Sooner, the LTT commenced attacking naval crafts sailing in and out Trincomalee Harbour and Muthoor jetty. The situation became a threat to the sea lines of communication which supplied military and civilian necessities to Jaffna Peninsula. The disruption would have provided us a tremendous advantage to the LTT in the event they have planned to launch an offensive in Jaffna Peninsula. Moreover, the displaced civilians in Muthoor who had experienced the LTT's indiscriminate direct fire raids refused to resettle unless their security had been guaranteed by the security forces. It was then that the decision was taken to launch an operation in order to clear and secure Sampur and adjacent areas on empathetic grounds. Eventually, the battle to retake Mavillaru transformed itself into a full-scale humanitarian military thrust to liberate the people of East from the brutalities of LTT. The LTT, probably considering a similar exploit, increased their strength to prevent the security forces' advance from land or sea. Development of LTT activities in the areas of Sampur and Ralkuli posed a direct threat to naval activities in Trincomalee Harbour. A considerable increase of sea tiger activities with fast attack crafts, suicidal boats made a significant change in their capabilities. Special forces, followed by infantry units, infiltrated into the LTT position, demonstrating classical small group operation expertise, cleared Sampur on the 2nd September 2006, effectively ending the indirect threat to Trincomalee Harbour and vital installation in the area. Once again, the employment of elite forces alongside small groups of infantry to direct indirect fires and air support contributed immensely to the defeat of LTT in Sampur and to wrest control of Trincomalee entirely, with the successive limited operations expanding towards north, where the LTT had its transit bases to facilitate their movements north-south, vice versa. Clearing of Batticaloa. The success of the security forces in Trincomalee effectively sealed the LTT lines of sustenance and isolated defences along coast, including Kadirveli and Wakare. Further, LTT continued to hold these defences to contain the security forces in east in order to prevent the security forces strengthening north, Jaffna Peninsula in particular. By now, the government of Sri Lanka had firmly decided to clear the remainder of the east as a precondition to the eradication of menace of LTT. The operation launched through Army's 2-3 Division was spearheaded by special forces aimed at clearing the coast, Kadirveli and Wakare, and the terrorist strongholds adjacent to these areas. The concept of operation focused on blending conventional and asymmetric tactics, which was achieved through the employment of infantry and special operations forces in conjunction across the width and depth of the area of operation. Special Forces elite in forefront established conditions for infantry for consequent maneuvers. The operation was conducted in stages designed by the Special Forces to gradually reduce the combat efficiency of the LTT through deliberate and systematic attrition followed by groundbreaking applications. The final stage of the operation culminated with the induction of commandos from Trincomalee once again. The cream of the crop executed the crafty crossing across Verugallaru River and sealed off the terrorist getaway towards north along with southern effort of Special Forces and infantry. By 21st January 2007, Special Forces overpowered the LTT in Wakare, resulted in rescue of civilians, including men, women, and children of all ages, unscratched. The operation to clear Wakare signaled the beginning of the end of LTT in East, and the success could be attributed to the unique employment concept put into practice by the forces, especially to avoid civilian casualties and to maximize LTT fatalities. The defeat of LTT in Trincomalee and Batticaloa North forced them to concentrate its combat power in its most secured base, notoriously known as Toppigala or the Baron's Cap in Narakkamulla complex. The LTT also occupied Batticaloa Ball, which was rich in paddy harvest. The areas were used as launching pads for arbitrary attack, especially indirect fire assault on troops, innocent civilians, and government institutions. An artillery barrage onto the Weber Sports Arena during the visit of government ministers and foreign delegates to Batticaloa was one such incident. And not bringing to an end, LTT went on to kill a Tamil Hindu priest who garlanded the president with the delight of harmony during His Excellency's visit to Wakare to pay tribute to valiant troops and to visit freed people from LTT's captivity, highlighted the need to clear this area with no further delay. Further, Toppigala had served the LTT as the base decisive for the existence in East and its operations in central, western, southern provinces of Sri Lanka. The successful employment of special operation forces in previous operations influenced the higher command decision to employ commandos as the lead force, reinforced with infantry. The commandos were employed in two layers. The first layer was the deep operations conducted by long-range patrol teams for information and intelligence and attrition and disruption. The second layer was the employment of the choice in the middle battle space to facilitate infantry operations. The infantry was employed to secure forward operational bases, line of communication, and take on positional objectives. The operation was executed in two overlapping stages. The capture of the area adjacent to Unniche Reservoir with a classical tactical maneuver under the cover of dark and during adverse weather conditions at first go on the D-Day prevented the likely devastation where the LTT was to demolish a tank bund to inundate the area entirely to gain the time and space for their reorganization thereafter. Expanding thereon, the pacification operations were steadily underway, having cautiously segregated the civilians and channelizing the terrorists to the jungles, which resulted in timely occupation of the Batticaloa Bowl on the eve of Sinhala and Hindu New Year celebrations in the year 2007, and subsequently clearing of Narakkamulla complex with solid fortifications and intense close combat, and Toppigala, the last terrorist bastion held impenetrable for decades in East, was victoriously occupied by the security forces on the 11th July 2007, leaving least getaway to the terrorists. Overwhelming combat power and integrated air power, armor, artillery, engineers, etc. revolved the operation into a comprehensive, realistic operational concept. The principle followed throughout the execution was maximize attrition on the terrorists and least exposure of own troops to avoid depletion of the same, while using firepower to the optimum, which the Special Operation Forces, Commandos and Special Forces in turns undertook with their excellence in expertise in the profession. LTT freedom of maneuver was restricted extensively with long-range missions by the Special Forces at the beginning and the Commandos at the final stage. The infantry was carefully employed, enabling them to retain the fullest advantage of the terrain and the situation. Analyzing the effect of ground, exploiting the inherited skills of Special Operation Forces as a means of survey and for the precise strike were the decisive factors which contributed largely for the accuracy in application. The LTT as the defender had the advantage of the terrain due to dominating heights and vast opens. However, the Special Operation Forces, in their repetitious small group operations,